Hi y'all! So every 6 months or so I try to do a brief wrap-up of my children's favorite books to help other parents out there who are looking for good reads for their kids for about the same age range. And it's been 9 or 10 months, so it's time for a 6-month check-in. So I have twin boys and they are 4 years old. In 2 months they'll be 4.5. And one is a really big reader. He loves books. The other mostly likes books so that he can drive his Hot Wheels on them. But he sits, and listens while I read to his brother, so it's all good. Today I've got their top 10 books based upon how often they request the books and how enthusiastic they are with the books reading in themselves. Number 10 is a classic we all remember, Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. You probably remember this book. It's silly, it's rhymey, they've memorized it, so they actually enjoy reading this to me, which I love. And their absolute favorite part is when the train falls down into the boat. They think that's hilarious. Number 2 is Cliffords Manners. So they have a whole bunch of these Clifford the Big Red Dog books, and they've really been liking this Manners one. Just knowing what they're supposed to do in certain situations. My son Samuel has really been enjoying that. I'm always trying to teach them, please and thank you, and have them say that, and they love being able to see that in a book form as to, oh, other people do that. Number 3 is Finding Dory. This is a seek and find book. I've been meaning to get some more seek and find books, but basically the idea here is there's a little key and you've got to find that critter in the larger picture. So kind of like a Where's Wally for kids, younger kids. Unfortunately, now he knows where every single thing is, so we have to start making stuff up. But he still loves it. He loves it. And also, this is a fantastic and large book for running Hot Wheels on. So, number 4 is another classic, Are You My Mother by P.D. Eastman. And this is another book that we all remember and they've memorized and they like to read it back to me. They especially love the part where he finds his mother again. They get all emotional every time, which is just adorable. Number 5 is a repeat from the last video. This is On the Moon by the Berenstain Bears. This is a story of brother and sister bear who build a rocket ship and then they fly off into space and they visit the moon and they do all sorts of cool stuff on the moon and then they come back. And my son Samuel is actually going to be going as an astronaut for Halloween because of this book. He's fascinated with the whole rocket ship thing, and so this has been a favorite for a long time. Number 6 is a throwback to my own childhood. This is Serendipity, and it is by Stephen Cosgrove. Now, Stephen Cosgrove had this whole Serendipity series of gorgeously illustrated books. I don't believe they're in print anymore, but just gorgeously illustrated book, just simple stories, usually had a moral. This one's about not throwing trash into the ocean, or this big giant sea monster will get you. And the boys, they've really latched on to this Serendipity one for whatever reason. Probably because mommy's always carrying around a book with a dragon on it. Might have something to do with it. But they've watched our chickens being hatched out of eggs, and this is a book about a dragon being hatched out of an egg, so I get it. I get it. So these were books that I grew up with and I read growing up, and then my sister took them when she had her kids, and now her kids are older, and for my baby shower I requested from her that I get these books back, and she didn't want to give them up because she wanted to hold them for her grandkids. So I am under threat of death to keep these in good condition until such time as I can return them to my sister for her yet unborn grandchildren. Because that's my family. Number 7 are The Complete Adventures of Curious George I think I found this on eBay or thrift books for very cheap, and it's all of the original Curious George books with all of the original illustrations. And my main nickname for my twins is Monkey Butt, so this played in well to that. But just the old classic stories, and they really loved them. They keep asking for this book, and we keep rereading all of the old stories. So it's nice to be able to kind of graduate into thicker books and have them holding bigger books and having more, we're reading more. This isn't really a chapter book, but the stories themselves are short and it kind of feels like a chapter book. So it's been a nice little in between, I think, to get them ready for more chapter books and serialized books. Number 8 is the classic, Everybody Poops. So I technically can call this translated fiction. This was originally published in Japanese in 1977. So we're finally done with diapers, but now everything having to do with the potty is just fascinating. This has the driest sense of humor. I love it, and my sons absolutely adore this book, and they love being able to open the book and just point at all the poop, you know, in the book and be like, oh, look, there's, you know, lion poop, and there's kitty poop, and there's rhinoceros poop. And I mentioned they were boys, right?
Poop.
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 Poop, 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 poop. Number 9 is The Trucker by Barbara Samuels. This is about a little boy who loves trucks. So there's some identification going on with that. And his mom gets a cat, and he didn't want a cat, he wanted a fire truck. So there's some animosity and some conflict going on with, you know, the interpersonal relationships of the boy and the cat. Until the cat, you know, shows that she's kind of a badass and can, you know, hang with all the truckers. And number 1, the book that I have read 500 billion times. The Berenstain Bears, The Bee Book. Stanley and Janice Berenstain. This is the Mandela book. So this is before they even started doing the Berenstain Bears series. This is one of their very early works. And this is yet again another book they have memorized and like to read to me, and me read to them over and over and over and over. It's a building tongue twister story that everything is about the letter B. So big brown bear, blue bull, beautiful baboon, and eventually they're going boom with all of the Beagle's banjo, bagpipe, bugle bands. So yeah, this thing's got explosions, it's got bananas. They love it. They love this book. So that's all from me today. How old are your kids and what do they enjoy reading right now? Talk to me in the comments and give me some ideas. I'd love to hear from you. So until then, bye-bye. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't know you were there, girl. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm always teaching them to say please and thank you, and they've memorized it and they like to read it. There's traffic, and it was translated at some point after that. Number 6 is a throwback to my childhood. So there is a chicken who will not shut up in the background, so we're just going to have to deal with that.
Poop.
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 That's your camera.
That's my camera.
Just like Daddy's.
Just like Daddy's.
Poop.
More poop.